My name is Juliette Carrillo, and I'm the director of Mojada by Luis Alfaro.
My name is Luis Alfaro, and I'm the playwright of Mojada. Mojada is an adaptation of the Greek classic Medea, and I've done a modern-day version, still a journey play. Medea is now Medea, Jason is now Hasson, and it's all really the same beats of the original Greek myth, but I've placed it in a big American city, and it is the story of what happens to these immigrants who come to this strange land and how they have to adjust.
Luis and I have known each other for a very, very long time. But we're not that old. And we worked together. We did a workshop years ago, but we really haven't had much opportunity to work together doing full productions. And so this is long overdue. And we're really excited. I think it's, bringing my aesthetic and his aesthetic together. I think it's going to be a really interesting journey. Yeah. So I'm thrilled. I'm honored and super excited to be working on the show.
The word mojada is a Spanish word for wetback, which is a derogatory term coined in the 1930s for undocumented people that were crossing over the Rio Grande River. So. How interesting, right? I also think it's a word that's existed in my vernacular since I was little, right? So I think it's a word that for me has a lot of resonance. It has a lot of power, in the same way that sometimes I refer to myself as a queer person. I have taken a really awful word and empowered it, shifted it, turned it upside down, and empowered it to something else. In this case, I think that Medea feels like a Mojada. She's treated like a Mojada. She sees how people treat Mojados. So when she takes that word, she uses that word at one point as a way of kind of signifying how corrupt people can be. I think it is taking that word and showing people how ugly it is. What a harsh, awful word. But also, this is a word to describe how you might, in her case, feel about me. Right? So I've had those instances, where I've had somebody say a word to me and I'll say, yeah, that word and its power is holding something. It holds power, right? So I wanted to disarm that word. I wanted for the word to reappropriate itself. I wanted for us to own the word and see how ugly that word is and also give it new meaning. And I think that's the scope of a play like this, right? I'm trying to give new meaning to a word like that. Yeah, so how do we use that word, maybe not to empower necessarily, but how do I use that word to maybe even show you how ugly that word is or how powerful that word is? So I think in a way, I could say, that word, right, and never mention it. But I think it's braver to say, this is the word. Mm-hmm. This is the story. Also, let's not lie to ourselves. We're not doing, like Color Purple. We're doing Medea, right? So let's not run from the fact that we're doing a very difficult, hard Greek classic that does not end well. So if you come thinking it's going to end well, wash away all those. I promise it'll be fun and it'll be worth your while, but it doesn't end well. We all know that, right? So we all know that. So we're coming to the theater tonight to have catharsis, to have an emotional experience. And it might be a hard experience, but that's what the theater is about, right? So somebody said this recently, which I thought was so beautiful. So films are about stories, television is about characters, and the theater is about ideas. And I think we're wrestling with ideas here. And there is an idea at present in the title of this play that we have to wrestle with tonight. Mm-hmm. We're going to have to own it, we're going to chew it, and then we're going to spit it out, and it's not going to look the same way. I hope that is what happens, right? That's the hope.